to Dan's house on this Tuesday. Yeah, I've got all kinds of things stacked up. You know, the problem with doing all these different canvases is they don't all go out. And we have a lot of them stacked up at the end of the table here behind us. They're everywhere. But again, this is Dan Gresham's house. This is art studio, broadcast studio, my office, all of those things into one here in the, what was it? What would be a good word? It's not the hacienda. It would be, house is good. Hi, everybody. Welcome in. And again, we hope that your Tuesday is off to a good start. Second day of February, 2021. And as we move forward this morning, of course, we always invite you to comment on what's happening in your world. If you just want to say hi, hey, that works for me. If you want to tell me where you're watching from, if you want to tell me what's going on, that you think is not being seen or should be seen, certainly we want to do that as well. And how do you do that? It's as simple as commenting just like you would on any other Facebook post, right? So post up, want to comment, fine. You want to leave us a like, you can do that. Those are appreciated as well. Any emoji that you want to throw in there, that's fine. You probably know more about it than I do. All right, so let's just take a check of who's up with us this morning. Marie Jackson is here. Chason, good morning to you, sir. Jean is up. Barbie is up this morning. Carol is up in Elkhart. Chason says, I'm going to have a Gouda day. Yes, I'm sure I will. I hope it is. Amanda Espinosa, good morning to you. Tracy Hall, good morning. I have not found anything on a Texas movement. First of all, the Texan idea, Tracy, if you really look, is not something that I think the state of Texas can do, constitutionally speaking. But I get your question. Latoya Johnson, good morning to you. Zeus is up with us this morning. Also, Carlene Purdue, it's always nice to see you with us. Hi, Tom, up in Illinois. Hope that you're surviving the snowpocalypse of 2021. Tammy, good morning to you there in Lumberton. Cassandra, yep, it's chilly again this morning in Honey Island and all of Southeast Texas. Good morning to you, Veronica, there in Evadale. Sabrina says good morning from Groves. Kirsten is watching in Port Neches. Sarah says good morning. Greg Parsons watching from Nevada. Good morning. Is it Nevada or Nevada? Now, I always say Nevada because I'm a Texan, and that's how I grew up saying it. But I certainly hear a lot of people saying Nevada. Or you also hear, I grew up saying Colorado. I always hear people saying Colorado. I would, but I'll also hear people saying it's a pecan tree. And I would never say it's a pecan tree. It's a pecan tree. Growing up in the South, at least that's the way I was told. Pecans are what people use at the hospital when they can't get out of the bed. Kristen, good morning to you. Jean, got my 85-year-old mother started on her vaccine last week. Good deal. Now we need to get number 2. We're going to talk about that some this morning. Hi, Tracy Hensley. Good morning to you. Mary Wofford, always good to have you up with us this morning. Linda Reyes is up this morning as well. Mary Greer is up this morning. Neil Bishop over in Newton this morning is watching. Hi, Neil. Hi, John. Good to see you this morning. Marie is here from Tennessee. Hope everything is going well in the volunteer state. Also, Randy Dawes is up this morning. Craig tells me it's Nevada. Nevada, not Nevada. Nevada? That's what I was trying to think. Is it Virginia City? Is that right? I know Reno. I always wanted Reno to be the capital of Nevada. I've been to Reno numerous times. And I always thought this should be the capital, but it's not, right? Is it Virginia City? Carson City? Carson City. Maybe that's it, Carson City. But, it's like those states that you think these cities make sense to be the capital. Like, why isn't Kansas City the capital of Kansas? It's Topeka. But you think, I don't know. Gene says, I need to go take the covers off my plants this morning. You're right, because it's not going to be quite as cold tomorrow, only into the 40s. Hi, Colleen. Ron Kessel, Democrats are destroying America. Glad you could express your opinion there, Ron. Gene, okay to the plants. And then also this morning, Jeannie Foster says, good morning from Viter. Tom, who again lives in Illinois but has connection to Southeast Texas, says, after getting yelled at a lot, I finally say pecan the Southern way. But I bet forever he said, can I have a piece of that pecan pie? I don't think I ever heard, that was always kind of like the indicator, growing up was they're not from here. If they said pecan, you went, what? Marie, good morning. And also, Joetta, good morning to you. Carol is up this morning. It is cool here today. It's cool, but it's not going to stay cool. It's going to warm up very well today. It's going to be nice. And before, I think Thursday, we're into the 70s. So that's just February. That's just February here in Southeast Texas. You kind of never know. It's the precursor to spring, moving that direction. You start that transition. You have days when it's really warm, and then you have those days when it can still be bitingly cold. And with that wind blowing out of the north, it doesn't take a whole lot to be cold. All right, let's jump in. What's happening in your headlines today? There you go. All about KFDM.com, your first stop on the internet. And there are a couple of stories that jump out to me this morning. One is about the federal mask mandate that went into place today at midnight. And if you're riding public transportation, there is a federal mandate that says you have to have a face covering, whether it's planes, trains, automobiles, ships, subways, taxis, ride shares, you got to wear them. That's just what the law says. Now, there are always people that, you know what the term is? For people who disobey the law by intention, it's called scofflaw. Scofflaw. That may be your word of the day, scofflaw. But it's pretty simple to get it, right? They scoff at the law. There is a word called scofflaw. It makes a really good one when you're playing those little crossword puzzles. Scofflaw. But anyway, those who are scofflaws will not wear their mask. And of course, there are penalties. We're still trying to figure out exactly what would the penalty be if you're riding a public transportation mode here in Beaumont and you don't wear your mask, because nobody's really talking a whole lot about that. They're just encouraging people to do it, right? And I think they have been, quite honestly. I think they've been trying to do that for quite some time, encouraging people to do that since almost the beginning. All right, so let's go back over to KFDM.com. That's one story that caught my attention. The governor's address to the state of Texas, his State of the State address, is worth taking a look at if you want to see what he's concerned about and what he sees as issues facing our state. And again, we're always so quick to jump to national news. Why don't we pay as much attention to local news and state news before we jump all the way to the nation's capital? Aren't these things that probably affect us even more immediately? Texas Governor Abbott, 5 emergency items. Expansion of broadband internet access, the idea being that those who do, and those who don't seems to be a bigger gap. People who don't have internet access. Election integrity, bail reform, protection from defunding police, and civil liability protections for businesses that could face suits stemming from exposure to COVID-19. And if you want to read the entire thing, here it is at the KFDM.com website. You can go and read exactly what he believes are the most important issues facing the state of Texas moving forward. All right? The other story of note to me is, and only because I went outside and my grandkids were here, and I hear this thump, 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 and it's not one helicopter. I can tell it's not one. And I look up, and there are probably 5 of these Apache attack helicopters that you're seeing on the ground here that were flying overhead. And I mean, they were just, in a precise formation. And it was obvious that they were flying towards the Port of Beaumont, but I didn't know if that's where they were necessarily landing. Well, the answer is yes. And if you hear them or see them, it's because they have a military exercise that's going on, that they're shipping out 15,000 pieces of military hardware, not all of it the size of helicopters, but there are trucks and tanks and helicopters that are all going to Europe for an exercise and then will return here. But it's huge for the Port of Beaumont, as you can imagine, to have all of these things coming through our port. It's huge because we have longshoremen who are working there. It's also huge because they will spend money housing people, feeding people, so it's good for the economy. I saw a statistic today that kind of surprised me that we are the 5th largest port in the country. I assume that's based on volume. I thought that was interesting. I would think, I don't know that, but that's what it said. All right, so those are interesting stories that you might want to check out. Now I want to move on beyond the news today and talk about other things that are going on. Really interesting story, and I think it's so spot on, from Texas Monthly. The headline says, newly vaccinated boomers are ready to get down. While much of the under 65 crowd waits for their COVID-19 vaccinations, the generation that invented sex, drugs, and rock and roll is about to run amok. Ruth Penbaker wrote this, and Ruth apparently is 65 and or older because she writes this in first person. And I tell you what, you read it, and of course, being 65 plus, I read it and I'm like, okay. But it's true. All these people, I mean, like in a frenzy. They've been trying to find this vaccine. Now they've got their first one. You know, the theory being that, 2 weeks after they get their second one, they're 95% immune from COVID. What's the world going to look like with all these 65 plus folks who can do anything they want while the rest of the country has to sit around and wait? Will they truly run amok? You can find out one perspective again by going to texasmonthly.com. It's free. They don't charge you anything during the pandemic. You can read it for free. Also this morning, it is Groundhog Day. And if you're wondering, did Punxsutawney Phil see his shadow? He did. 6 more weeks of winter. How accurate do you think Punxsutawney Phil is? What's his percentage? How many times is he right? How many times is he wrong? 25, 50, 75, 100? Actually, Punxsutawney Phil is about 50%. So maybe yes, maybe no. But he, even though there were no crowds this year, they did not have the big spectacle that they normally have in Punxsutawney at Gobbler's Knob. They simply did it virtually. And again, it's pretty amazing that it's a 135-year tradition. And this is the 106th time Phil has seen his shadow. So take it for what it is. I always think, okay, maybe it's true it'll be 6 more weeks of winter in Pennsylvania. Dana was pretty clever this morning. I don't know if you saw it, but he came up with his own. I think it was Seymour Shadow or something like that, and he spelled it the Cajun way. And apparently he was saying that was the Cajun version of the groundhog, and he would see what would happen. But he says that groundhog didn't see his. And of course, we have our own animal barometer, you know that, at Gator Country. And that's Big Al. In fact, Mary Walford knows that. She knew that. We'll see if Big Al, the alligator, if he eats, supposedly that means that they're coming out, of kind of a hibernation period. They're not really truly hibernating, but they don't eat as much. And so if he eats, then it means it's the beginning of spring. We'll see what happens. Again, I don't hold a whole lot of stock, and I'm sure that you probably don't either. And my last story for you today, to share with you today, is this one from the Houston Chronicle. And it is the business pages of the Chronicle. And you can see the headline, Super Bowl is coming and we're running out of chicken wings. Because why? Because everybody thinks, oh, that is the perfect snack food for the Super Bowl. Delicious. It's something that you can grab and, everybody. But you know how many chicken wings we're talking about? It's crazy. I don't know how there are enough chickens to provide the wings. I don't know that I really want to know exactly, where that comes from. I mean, you're talking about, look at this. Here's the number. The entire chicken industry will go through close to 1.4 billion wings during the next, it's Super Bowl weekend, but I think they also include maybe March Madness. 1.4 billion wings. That's a lot of chicken. No wonder the chicken industry can't keep up with demand. Wow. All right. So again, not going to spend a whole lot of time. Super Bowl countdown is underway. If you're looking for things to do, and recipes, we're going to talk about that a bit on Thursday and Friday from here at the house, where again, this is not a newscast. This is just you and I taking a look at the stories, talking about topics, things that are happening in our world, not necessarily the world that some people believe, our world, like that little micro, not the macro. So that being said, the reminder that you can comment if you want. I'll leave it up for a while. You're welcome to say good morning or whatever you think we need to do or talk about. We can just send me a note. We'll do that. We can also, of course, remind you that there are a lot of ways to keep up with what's going on. You can follow us on Facebook here on KFDM News. You can also follow us on Twitter. Mine is Morning TV Dan if you want to follow. And then you can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is Dan's at Home. And we post all of this, everything that we do here on the KFDM Facebook page, we also post on the YouTube channel so that you can watch it there. It's not necessarily anything new and or different. It is just this update that is over there. So if you miss it on KFDM's Facebook page, you can head that direction. All right. What else do I need to tell you this morning? I can't think of a whole lot that we need to do other than that. But to remind you, go out and do that deed that should be done every day, right? A random act of kindness. It could be as simple as opening a door for someone. Really, it can be as simple as just having a word with somebody. A civil word. Hello, how are you? How's it going? And mean it. That's the difference. So many times we go through our day, it's just kind of like a rote thing that you repeat when you pass somebody. How's it going? You really don't want to know. Let's be honest. When, 90% of the time when people say that, they really don't want to know. You really don't want to hear what somebody else has to say. But just once today, when you say that, do it genuinely and wait and hear what the other person has to say, and engage them in a little bit of conversation. You may be the only person they talk to all day long. Sometimes I think we don't realize the power of the word or even a smile. It's hard to see behind a mask, the twinkling of an eye, the acknowledgement of another person. That's pretty important. But it's also something that you can do that doesn't cost you anything at all. So I hope you will sometime over the course of the day make that investment. All right, I am out of here. I have things to do. Like I say, I'm going to bring the music back up. We'll leave us up for a second. If there's something you want to tell us, fine. Love to hear from you. If you'd like to hit us with a like, we always appreciate those as well. Until next time, I'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning. Actually, you know what I'm doing tonight? I'm doing Lamar volleyball for ESPN+. So we'll have some fun doing that. It's been a while. And then we will also do college basketball tomorrow night. So it's a busy couple of nights that we'll be working for ESPN Plus here in Beaumont. So you can tune in for that. But otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow morning, bright and early on KFDM TV, and hopefully back here on our at-home update coming up tomorrow morning. Till then, be safe, take care of yourself, and as I said, enjoy your day to the best of your ability.